Hey, so this is my review of Monday Night Raw, the after Summerslam. Didn't get a lot of a lot of answers from about Brock Lesnar. Um, I honestly thought he'd open the show. I don't know. I mean, he flew out last night for it. I didn't think it was gonna. I really thought he'd show up. We'd hear from him, cut a promo. Maybe John would show up, but I guess they're gonna really stretch this out. But yeah, it was a decent Raw. I, I just felt like since they were making it kind of like a Raw after WrestleMania, I was expecting more surprises, something else to happen. Except for what happened in the main event. That clearly was probably the best part of the whole show. You know, the LA Knight versus Seth Rollins match. But yeah, it was really just kind of just okay. You know, show starts off with a recap of the weekend, right? All the matches, the celebrities that were there. You know, just showing how fun it was. Um, let's see. Then after the recap, show starts. You get Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman. His whole group's out there. Bronson Reed still sporting the sneakers. What is it called? What do you call it? I forgot the name of it, but yeah, it's a play on words. He's a tribal thief, stuff like that. It's hard for me because these guys are supposed to be heels, right? I'm not supposed to like them. I'm supposed to boo them, but each week they're just silly. You know. Later in the episode, I think they get called morons. Yeah, they're a couple of morons. It's funny. They're not dastardly heels. You know. But they go to the ring. Paul Heyman cuts a promo about how Roman hadn't been champion for a year and a half. He'd be out there, announcing him, CM Punk being the best in the world. Now he gets to, he calls himself the GOAT, right? Because he's been managers for all these great wrestlers, So they finally announced, the reigning, defending world heavyweight champion Seth Rollins. He gets to do that for the first time, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you get to see CM Punk chants, pisses off Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins talks about how, shame on everybody for doubting him. He always has a plan B. Shame on the people in the back, shame on the audience, shame on everybody, right? Everyone doubted him, turned his back on him, and then after that, you get LA Knight coming out and interrupting talking about how, he didn't understand, that he was really avoiding the ass kicking that LA Knight was gonna give him. The LA Knight was gonna give him, and that's what he was really avoiding. He wasn't avoiding cashing in the Money in the Bank, and how he wants a shot since he was the last person to pin Seth Rollins. He wants his shot tonight for the world title. Seth says no, not gonna happen. As they're leaving the ring, Paul Pierce comes out. Paul Pierce, sorry, not the Celtic player. I'll just say general manager because it's Pierce, Adam Pierce maybe. Yeah, I think that's Adam Pierce. Anyway, the GM comes out, talks about how you lied to my medical team. You had your medical team send over fake reports, which I'm glad they mentioned because yeah, if we're gonna treat this like a real thing, yeah, he lied, saying he couldn't wrestle, he was injured. I'm glad they put some of that stuff in it to make it a little more realistic. I thought that was a nice touch. yeah, so he's like, no, we're gonna make it official. You're gonna defend the title tonight. Oh, by the way, Reed and Breaker are banned from ringside. I don't know why you wouldn't ban Paul. Thinking that Paul's not gonna do anything, but okay, fine, ban those two as well. Just those two. That's okay. Um. Then you cut to Judgment Day walking down the hallway. Um. They're just talking shit, and then they see LWO hanging out over there, and then Dom and Dragon Lee get into it. Challenge them to a match tonight. So later tonight you'll have Dragon Lee and Dom fighting it out. But the first match you have is Rusev versus Sheamus. I don't know how. Is this like the third match? Fourth match that they've done? I don't know, but I really wasn't too interested in seeing this. I feel like I've seen it enough. I would think at this point you'd have something, you could move Rusev on from something else and give Sheamus something else. Yeah, I wasn't. I feel like all their matches are the same, just hard hitting, bunch of kicks, the 10 beat, the 10 drum thing. It's the same stuff over and over again. I just figure you can find something else for these guys to do. But yeah, so they had that. So they come out and they have their match. But like I said, just a regular, average match to start off Raw. Like I said, a lot of back and forths. They end up outside, kicking each other, throwing each other around. I feel like they were outside that ring for like a good minute and a half, and then all of a sudden, to 10, they both get counted out, 10 seconds. Now, I know the ref they mention it sometimes. The refs give leeway to the wrestlers, but they were out there for a long time. It should have been a 10 count a long time ago. But yeah, so the double count out, so nobody wins, so they're gonna have to do this whole thing again, right? At some point. Later on, it's announced that next week it'll be Rusev and Sami Zayn. Well, because of what happened later in the show. But yeah, they're gonna fight again at some point. Next segment, you get backstage with the New Day and Big G, right? That's his, Grayson Waller. Xavier Woods has his ridiculous fucking oversized hat. It's because they're still mourning the loss of their tag titles, wanting to get another shot at it. Just bitching, moaning, complaining, And then, Big G goes and talks to Pierce about wanting to get in a rematch for them, claiming that he's part of the New Day. We should get a tag match or tag title shot, blah, 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 whatever. But Pierce is talking to Penta, right? So he's interrupting that conversation. So then that's, Penta and Grayson Waller end up having a match later. That happens later. And then, next segment, they show Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair walking through the backstage, and the corner over there you see Rusev and Sheamus still fighting, so they weren't able to break it up. It'll be a theme the whole night. Backstage, you'll see them fighting still. Let me see. Then they do a recap of John Cena and Brock Lesnar coming back. That's the only time they talk about it. They mention it at all. They say like, oh, Michael Cole said like, oh, I talked to Nick Khan and Triple H, and they said that they told Brock that it was time to come home. I mean, if that's the reason that I don't know. I think that's kind of a lame-ass thing to say. I know that they use that a lot for like CM Punk. That it was time for him to come home. I don't know how I don't really like that phrase. It sounds kind of fucking corny to me. Um, I just think that there's a better way to explain why he's back than that. I was hoping to get something else besides that, so that was kind of lame. I didn't really like that. Um, then you have, after that, then, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair come out to the ring. Um, I, I'm not, I've never liked, I've never been a big fan of Charlotte Flair to begin with. But I've really have never been a fan of her being a face. I don't think she works as a face at all. It comes off to me like cringy and forced. Like it just doesn't fit her. She's a Flair. She should be a heel. You know. But they're trying to do that with her and Bliss. Or they're the frenemies, right? They're frenemies. So they have them. They come out. They do this a little bit. With each other. It's just that I just don't like the comedy bit. There's a "You deserve it" chant that spreads around the arena. Charlotte claims that that's her first time she's ever gotten that. So she says thank you for that. I don't know. Then you have Roxanne and Raquel coming out and interrupting them, saying that they don't, no one wants to be your friend, Flair, and we don't care that you two are trying to be friends. That doesn't matter to us, And they want their tag titles back, and they're there to take it back. So they challenge them to a match. Pierce comes out for the second. Yeah, that's the second time he's come out in the show, and gives it to him. So then they're going to do it right then and there. They start the match right then and there. This match was pretty good. I liked it. There was a lot of stuff going on, Flair does her moonsault, which I'm surprised. I don't know if they told her not to do the moonsault like outside the ring, or just the moonsault in general. But I didn't think she was gonna ever do those moonsaults anymore. But she did one. Looked really good. A lot of back and forth. They go outside. Roxanne tries to hit the pop rocks. Doesn't work. And then Bliss goes for the Sister Abigail, gets on Roxanne, pins her, gets the win. They retain the belt. Definitely better than the Sheamus match. I think that was just a way better match. Maybe that should have gone first. I don't know, but yeah, that was definitely a way better match. And then backstage, you get the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky talking with each other. Rhea interrupts. The Kabuki Warriors leave. They start talking about Sky's already asked for a title shot against Naomi. And she's gonna get it next week, as we find out, because she didn't get pinned, right? It was Rhea that got pinned, so she's getting her shot. Rhea says she hopes she wins, so then I can finally beat her. Sky says you'll never beat me. It's a friendly banter, but they'll definitely fight again. Maybe I don't know how long they're gonna put this off. Maybe Royal Rumble. Maybe it could be Survivor Series. I don't really know, but yeah, they'll eventually fight again, and Rhea will. They've been teasing enough. Rhea's definitely gonna win. She'll get her win. Let's see. What do we have after that? Okay, so Dom comes out. So it's the Dom and Dragon Lee match. Dom comes out. Starts with a slaps Lee right in the face. They go back and forth. A lot of super kicks, a lot of knees to the face. Sounds great, Lee does a dive outside the ring, knocks Dom down. Yeah, just a lot of fast pace. It was a fast paced match, really good. Not just a lot of honestly, there's a lot of kicks. It's something that sticks out to me, and just a lot of kicks. You know, and then eventually we get one grande Americano that comes out, then a second one, then a third one. So maybe I didn't get a good look at the third one. I mean, obviously, I think the one's Pete Dunne, the other one's Kaiser. You know, I didn't get a good look at the third one. I mean, maybe it's Gable, but I didn't think Gable was gonna be back yet. So maybe he can come out, but he's not gonna do anything. But yeah, Dom ends up getting the win. Gets the win for that one. Beats Lee. Let's see. Then AJ Styles comes out, runs in, goes after AJ goes after Dom, throws his boot at him, and then AJ is there to help Lee up and stuff like that. So, and I know Lee and Dom have that AAA title match. Is it a fatal four? I think it's a fatal 4-way. So they got that coming up. So, and I'm sure Dom will win that one. I can't imagine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gonna give Dom that one over there too. And then we have a backstage segment with Sami Zayn talking about his match with Karrion Kross. How he wanted to use the pipe. He thought about it. He really did, but he realized it wasn't the right thing to do. He wants to be world champion one day, but he wants to do it the right way. The way that he wants to do it. Who knows? I mean, speaking of the Cross thing, today it comes out that they're not. I'm a little confused because I heard a bunch of different things, but like Cross, they're not renewing his contract. It's expected to expire this weekend? But then at the same time, I was hearing people reporting that they hadn't been told. Like higher ups within WWE told that Cross hadn't been told that they weren't getting renewed. I don't know, the whole thing seems kind of fishy. At this point, I'd rather him leave because clearly they're not going to do anything with him. I don't. But I have a hard time believing why you create merch just a few short months ago if you're just going to release them. It just seems kind of silly to me. But I'm pretty sure he's out. And good. He can go to AEW, MLW. There's a lot of other places that can use them. If they're not gonna, because it's just even if he resigns, they have nothing for him. They're not even trying to use them. So then after this, Sammy, I forgot about this part. So then as Sammy's talking, then Sheamus and Rusev are still fighting out there, and they push Sammy, and Sammy somehow gets involved and gets hit, inadvertently. I think it was Rusev because Rusev and him have the match next week, so I'm assuming that it was him that hit Sammy. So we'll have that match next week. Anyway, after that segment, then you had Becky Lynch making her way down to the ring. She has a new song. I think, it was the new song this weekend. I know they used it then too, but I actually got to hear it this time, and it sounds decent. It's a lot better than her old one. It's good that they changed it, I hope they start going with actually getting bands to work on theme songs for some of these people. Instead of the AI slop that they have now. Just awful. Just awful. Becky makes her way down to the ring. Wearing some fucking jumpsuit. The 20 size bigger than her. Like I don't know what that is. But she starts cutting a promo on Lyra, how Lyra can't get into the shot, and Ding Dong the Witch is gone, and she plans on being IC champ for a long time. She wants to talk about new competitors and face new people, but not tonight. She's cutting this promo, and then Nikki Bella comes out, interrupts her. And they have a bit of back and forth, how she respected, Becky so much, and how she's come up, and then she ends up being a big disappointment, and why did she come, and then she said, why did Nikki come back, and then why did Becky come back, and Becky flaunts that she's in Happy Gilmore too, and Nikki's stuff was cut from the movie, and, just a lot of back and forth stuff. Again, Becky's someone I can do without, she's another one that I don't know if she's going to really make it in Hollywood. I don't know anything about that. I don't know if she's a good enough actress to do that, but I just, ever since probably the last 2 years, just have not been a huge fan of Becky in this version of her character, whatever this is, She talks about how her and Seth are the best and the hottest wrestling couple ever, and then takes a dig at Nikki, because, that could have been her with John, but that didn't work out, and then takes another cheap shot and just hits her right in the mouth and gets out of the ring. Just a real chicken shit heel stuff, Then we cut to a backstage segment with Naomi talking about how she's defending her title next week against Io Sky. And then Stephanie Valkyrie comes back there, interrupts her. Naomi tells her she's going to shove those horns up her ass. So far up her ass that she'll have a limp. Thought that was a nice touch. There's another commercial break. Then we have the World Heavyweight title match. Seth versus LA Knight. This match was good. I liked it. There's a lot more stuff into it that happened in it, Let's see. Yeah, so, a lot of back and forths, Knight hits him with a swinging neck breaker, tries to pin him, gets a 1 count. In the beginning of the match, Knight was pretty in control. Seth comes back. They do some stuff outside, right? Slamming each other around. And then at one point, Seth uses Paul as a shield, right, to block LA Knight from hitting him. Seth tries to go for a pedigree, doesn't get it. They do a suplex off the top rope, or LA Knight runs up, what he usually does, and gave him a suplex off the top rope. Then they go back outside, fight a little bit more. Seth pulls the pad, rips the pad up, so then there's just the concrete. Tries to give him a stomp, and then CM Punk comes out and interrupts the whole thing. So the match ends in disqualification, beats him up. Then you have the two morons coming out, the Tribal Thief and the Big Dog, come down and beat the shit out of him, and they get into it. And Seth gets super pissed. They get him in the ring, and that's when he finally hits a stomp on LA Knight, hits a stomp on Punk. They're celebrating. They're getting ready. The credits roll, so the show's done, right? It's getting ready to go off. And as they're outside, heading towards the back, Roman Reigns comes. You hear Roman Reigns' music, He comes out, and then he fucking lays out Reed. He gave Reed the Superman punch, and then he knocked down Braun, gets in the ring, they go at it a little bit, and then Seth hits him with the stomp, right? Knocks him, takes him out. And then Reed proceeds to give Roman 4 tsunami splashes. I think there were 4 of them. Yeah, I think it was 4. Motherfucker steals his shoes again, too. 2 pairs of sneakers this man stole from him. So, He really is a tribal thief. That's crazy. I wonder if next week he'll have the two shoes. You know, two pairs of shoes hanging off his neck. But yeah, and then that's how the show ends with all that. And then later, I don't know how much later, but there was film leaked. People filming that, Punk and LA Knight get into it. Obviously storyline, but they get into it, and then they start arguing with Roman, about how you could have showed up earlier and what the hell, where the hell were you, and all this and that. So it was good. I liked it. It was a good. It wasn't the best Raw. When I think, again, if they're treating this like WrestleMania, usually the night after, right? The Raw after this stuff, usually there's big things that happen. So I think I was expecting a little bit more, right? I was expecting to see Brock Lesnar. I was expecting to get a better reason on why he came back and what he's here for. Maybe see John Cena. That I was expecting stuff like that. Didn't get that. Just get him some weird answer about him coming home, which sounds silly to me. Because Brock doesn't even if you know anything about Brock, or if you've read stuff about him, you know that he's in this for the money. This isn't home. I think if he had it his way, he'd never come back. I think he'd stay up in Canada and hunt moose and do whatever he does up there. So that was just kind of silly. That seemed kind of just like a bullshit reason. So maybe on Friday, because I know Friday John Cena's supposed to be there. Maybe we'll get maybe he'll show up on Friday. But as so far as an episode, yeah. So I expected more, didn't get it, but it wasn't a terrible episode. It really wasn't. The one match I just really didn't care for was the Rusev and Sheamus. That's the one I really didn't care for. And I'm sure we'll get more of them because they have to finish it up, so I'm sure we'll get one more at least. I'm sure Sheamus will have a role in the Sami and Rusev match next week. I'm sure he'll get involved in that somehow. But yeah, that's about it though. Other than that, I really enjoyed it, But yeah, so if you give a comment, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you think it was enough? Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it, I'll try to respond in the comments, whatever I see. So, all right.